This module focuses on making instructional decisions in assessment in education. There are two primary areas of interest. One will be a discussion of ethical principles of assessment, and the other will be ethical grading practices. Typically, in the past, paper and pencil tests have been used to determine a student's status with respect to the knowledge and skills that the teacher has. Currently, however, education has adopted the term assessment to include a broader vision than paper and pencil tests. Assessment consists of all the variety of methods used to determine what students know and can do, both before, during, and after instruction. A key factor in instruction is to know beforehand just what decisions will be influenced by your students' performances on assessments, either large-scale standardized assessments or classroom performances. Teachers must make a variety of instructional decisions, beginning with what will I teach in the first place? Proceeding to how long should I spend on a particular learning goal or standard? Then how effective was my instruction? What should I do if some students have mastered the learning goal and others have not? Finally, what should I change, discard, or retain in my future instruction? Now we will move to a discussion of ethical practices in assessment. There are two primary ethical principles. The first is do no harm, and the second is avoid score pollution. We have found that two general guidelines seem to address many of the ethical questions raised by teachers. The first one, dating back to the ancient Greeks, is to do no harm. In the realm of the classroom, this principle manifests itself as the basic duty that teachers have to their students. Students must fulfill the needs of each student as a learner, preserving the dignity of both the student and the teacher. Protecting students from harm is a general principle that no one contests in the abstract. However, thinking about causing harm focuses the discussion on implications for everyday practice. So when we talk about harm, we must emphasize that teacher judgment is involved. The first judgment comes in defining what harm is. For example, a teacher who on a test uses surprise items that did not appear on the study guide may do harm by breaking the implicit bond of trust between teacher and student. A teacher who passes out tests from highest grade to lowest may do harm by breaching confidentiality. Such actions erode the dignity of students. The second general guideline for classroom assessment is to avoid score pollution. This is a specific manifestation of the do no harm principle applying to assessment. If scores from an assessment do not reflect the level of a student's mastery of the instructional content represented by that assessment, then harm has been done. For example, a teacher who has the class practice beforehand with actual test content would produce score pollution. The score on that assessment would no longer measure mastery of a body of knowledge, but would simply show the ability to memorize specific items. The score on the test does not represent actual student achievement in the content area, and is polluted or determined partially by factors unrelated to academic achievement. We believe this ethical principle can be extended to everyday classroom assessment and not just to high-stakes tests. Any official assessment, including grades, should reflect only the extent to which the students have mastered the goals of instruction. When teachers modify grades or scores because of student effort, late work, or behavior problems, for example, the scores do not accurately communicate the level of mastery and can actually harm students. Similarly, many teachers do not use a blind grading system and may unconsciously prefer certain students. Such educators may unintentionally engage in score pollution by giving less favored students lower grades than they deserve. Everyone has stories about a teacher with biases, the one who won't ever give males an A, or the one who is always lenient with the kids who play sports. Classroom grades sometimes seem to be polluted by these other actions. Such actions can result in harms such as mistrust between student and teacher, discouragement, and lack of student effort. Last, I will leave you with a grading activity that will hopefully promote your reflection upon the two ethical principles discussed in this module. A student has 4 homework assignments on which he or she has not done very well. However, on the midterm exam and the final, the student has made a B and an A respectively. There was a project on which the student's mastery grade was a 93 or an A minus. However, because the student turned in the project late, the grade was lowered to a D. What do you think this student's final grade should be for the course? What factors do you think might do harm or introduce score pollution so that the student's grade may not reflect his or her actual mastery of the standards or learning goals taught? I hope you have enjoyed this module, and I hope we have given you a few new things to think about.